Hi, this is Rabbi Young with the weekly email video message, Passover edition. I want to talk today about food. I know that I'm not teaching you any Torah you don't know to say Jews are obsessed with food. I have said several times, and I've heard a lot of you say that every Jewish holiday is they tried to kill us, they failed, let's eat. And Passover is certainly no different. But when we wish someone a happy Passover, sometimes we'll say Chag Kasher v'Sameach, which means have a happy and kosher Passover. Why would we do that? What's a kosher Passover? And actually, it's a little different. Throughout most of the year, if someone is kosher or not kosher, they follow a set of rules that is pretty much the same among all Jews. You avoid certain types of food and you don't mix certain types of food, and everyone agrees on what's kosher and what's not for the most part. And you do it or you don't. When it comes to keeping a Chag Kasher, a kosher Passover, the rules are different for different cultures. Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardi Jews and Mizrahi Jews, the European Jews, the South American, Latin Jews, Spanish Jews, and the Middle Eastern Jews, all avoid chametz. In the Torah, it says to not eat chametz for 7 days. And chametz are defined in the Talmud as cereal grains: wheat, spelt, barley, oat, and rye. And when you mix these grains with water, they start to rise. And if it rises for 18 minutes or more, it's considered chametz, and you don't eat it. And if it rises for less than 18 minutes from the time that you touch it to the water to the time it is totally baked solid, it is considered kosher for Passover. So matzah, for example, is wheat and water that from the time the ingredients are mixed to the time it is baked into a solid cracker, less than 18 minutes have transpired. So chametz, all across the board, nobody eats them. But then when you get into the next level of grains, kitniot, that's where it gets confusing. Sephardi Jews eat kitniot, Mizrahi Jews eat kitniot, and Ashkenazi Jews do not. Now, what are kitniot? Kitniot are rice, beans, corn, legumes, any grain, quinoa, that looks or behaves like chametz, even if it's technically not. So if something rises when it comes in contact with water, it's considered chametz. Or if you can grind it and use it as a flour, and then that flour will rise as part of its baking process, then it's considered kitniot. And the reason Ashkenazi Jews do not eat them on Passover and Mizrahi and Sephardi Jews do is typically because historically Ashkenazi villages would have one millstone for all of the grains, for the wheat, barley, spelt, oat, and rye, as well as for the rice and the beans and the corn and other things that would be ground in that mill, one millstone. So you couldn't use the millstone at all during Passover because it would be tainted by these grains that were forbidden in the Torah. Whereas Sephardi and Mizrahi cultures typically had two millstones in the town, one for grinding the cereal grains and one for grinding the rice and beans and corn and other grains. And that way, come Passover, they would avoid using one millstone, but had no problem using the other because it had never really been exposed to cereal grains. And another cultural difference is that Mizrahi Jews will avoid sesame on Passover because sesame is considered a typical regular food. They eat a lot of sesame. Tahina is made with sesame. They make a lot of their desserts and candies with sesame. And so they avoid sesame because it's not special. And so to make Passover special, Mizrahi Jews might avoid sesame. One of my favorite Passover candies are those little sesame treats. So this Ashkenazi Jew enjoys sesame on Passover. In my family, the reason that we avoid kitniot is twofold. Number one, we're Ashkenazi culture, and that's where both Natalie and I come from. But number two is from a line from the Passover Haggadah that says, Bechol dor vador, Adam chayav lirot et atzmo ke'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. In every generation, a person is obligated to view themselves as though they had personally been freed from Egypt. Now, that concept of seeing ourselves as being personally freed from Egypt means we need to first view ourselves as slaves. We first need to understand what it's like to have restrictions that we're not used to limit ourselves in some way that's unique to Passover experience. So for our family, we do that in our food. We restrict what we put on our table on Passover throughout the whole week by avoiding kidniot, so that we can feel limited, feel restricted, and then when the last night of Passover ends as the sun sets and we can break Passover together, this year at the camp out with a little birthday cake for Isabella, we really feel that freedom. We really feel relieved that we can go back to our normal selves. And you can consider it, first world issue if you want, but to really put ourselves into a situation where we feel restricted is more poignant when there's greater restriction. So in my family, we avoid kitniot, and whatever you choose to do on Passover, whether you choose to avoid chametz only, whether you choose to avoid chametz and kitniot, or whether you choose to do your own thing because you are a Reform Jew who has made your educated choice, I wish you a Chag Kasher V'Sameach, a kosher as you define it, and very happy Passover. I hope to see you at our second Seder this Saturday. Take care. Have a good week.